He'll fight for freedom wherever there's trouble, and whenever Hasbro has a new toy line to sell. Welcome to G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero, for the NES by Taxan. Taxan should be familiar to regular players of the NES, and regular viewers of this channel because they produce the wonder that is Star Soldier. Some of their other great hits include Low G-Man, and this is actually the G.I. Joe game that most people remember fairly fondly. G.I. Joe The Atlantis Factor was the follow-up by Capcom, and it is harder than a 17-cent steak. So, this is going to be the only one I'm going to play, and this was no slight either. If this can be considered Sergeant Slaughter's boot camp, then the Atlantis Factor could be considered Sergeant Slaughter taking you through an American Ninja Warrior course after having 2 Chipotle burritos. But there were some pretty interesting things done here. The most fun to me as a fan of the old G.I. Joe toy line was how well the various characters were represented. And you'll see as we go on, and I'll indicate as many of them as I possibly can, what kind of deep well the G.I. Joe toy line had in order to produce enemies for you to fight. So, without further ado, Yo Joe! Let's do a soft reset here, and we'll go through the intro. Presented by Taxan. As you see, 1990 here, that's going to be important. Duke, ring laser rifle. Hand-to-hand combat specialty, front punch. Blizzard, flame ball repeater, dagger. Snake Eyes, none. Snake Eyes prefer his Jitsu of Power. And Katana Sword. Yeah, I remember the Jitsu of Power in the toy. Football grenade launcher. Front punch, Captain Gridiron. Rock and roll, spread machine gun, front punch. And we'll talk about them in more depth in a moment. But for right now, let's go to the initial briefing. And that is General Hawk, who apparently is broadcasting through Cox Cable. I would think the G.I. Joes would have better resources than that, but what do I know? Good morning, men. The time has come to rid the world of the Cobra organization. For too many years, this group of thugs has terrorized the innocent people of the world, and it's time to act. We have some good information on the location of the main Cobra bases. We will be able to locate the secret base where Cobra Commander is hiding. This mission will be an attack on the jungle base deep in the Amazon. You will go in 2 days' time with Amazon Prime. Duke, you'll be the leader of this mission. Before I go to the next part, I should mention a couple of things about this scenario. Number one, the 2 messages above the board there. One says alert, and one says arart. Yeah. Apparently correct spelling isn't a big qualification to be a G.I. Joe. Blech. Also, I have no idea really who the people at the console might be. If I had to hazard a guess, given that they're manning a computer and doing communications, one of them is probably Mainframe. One of them is probably Breaker. And just throwing something out there, the other one may very well be Dial Tone, but he doesn't have his big phone apparatus on his back. As far as the 2 people up on the cranes there, crane platforms, they look to be female figures with short hair, so that says to me Lady J and CoverGirl. But that's a guess. I honestly don't know for sure. So if anyone can clarify, that would be great. Please select your team. Yo Joe! Okay, now, I'm going to go and evaluate everybody here. So for every mission, you're going to have somebody you have to take along. That's the leader. In this case, it's Duke. And I've expressed my feelings on how I feel about Duke before. I will say that they've softened up a little bit after I rewatched G.I. Joe the movie, considering he took the flying snake to save Falcon. But then again, I think Falcon's an even bigger waste than Duke was. So, Duke moved up without even doing anything. So, stamina is their overall life meter. Jump is the measure of how high they can jump. Duke actually has the second highest jump of the available Joes. Punch is 15, that's your punching strength, which is pretty good here. Weapon is 17. Now, weapon can be a little bit deceptive. In Duke's case, he has a ring laser which initially fires 2 shots, one forward, one diagonally up. And this can power up all the way to 5 shots, but it will always be forward and then diagonally up. But the overall weapon number there, I'm sorry, my headphones falling off. Overall weapon number there indicates how much damage it can do. But what it can hit is a whole other matter. So Duke overall is your can handle pretty much everything guy. You know, you always have one of them. Next we have Blizzard. Now we're going to have Blizzard as the leader in the Mission 2 stages in the Arctic. Blizzard's stamina is 12, so not great compared to Duke's. He's going to have a lower life meter. His jump, it's slower than Duke's, but still not bad at 18. Now his punch, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but he uses a dagger, so he does get a little extra reach than the folks who just use a regular front punch. His weapon is where things get interesting. With a weapon damage of 13, it's not doing a whole lot of damage to enemies. Also, when fully powered up, it will create extra fireballs that kind of wave like that up and down. But the real trick about his weapon, it can go through walls. And it can also go through enemies. So if you have multiple enemies in a line or an enemy that would otherwise be blocked, Blizzard can take them out without getting close. That can be very, very handy sometimes. And next we have Snake Eyes. Now, Snake Eyes has low stamina. You gotta kind of keep him out of the fray as much as you can. His jump, however, he has the best jump of the initial Joes. I say initial Joes, you'll see why later. So he is the absolute best at maneuvering around. His punch, since he uses a katana, is stronger than most front punches, and he also gets a little better front range, but also a little bit of overhead range. And his weapon is very weak. When it's fully powered up, it will have about the same width as Blizzard's fireball gun, but there is one special thing to it. It does not use ammunition. Everybody else's weapon takes ammunition. It's a universal pool. Snake Eyes does not use ammunition. That can be very, very helpful if you're in a stage where you have to do a lot of shooting and you're screwed if you run out. One other thing I forgot to mention about this, there's one other ability everyone has, and that's grenade throwing. It's basically just they toss grenades up in an arc in the air and then they fall down on the ground. They don't really explode or anything. It's almost like throwing rocks. Snake Eyes has the fastest grenade throwing. It is insane. Duke is right behind him. Blizzard is not bad. Yeah. Blizzard's grenade throwing is a little bit below Duke's as far as speed. Oh, went a little the wrong way. Next we have Captain Gridiron. Now, despite the fact that I hate sports, this was one of my favorite Joes as a kid, because I liked the idea of a football-themed character. And, repurposing, a football helmet and football pads and all that into armor. And using a quarterback's ability to put a football wherever he wants, to put grenades wherever he wants on the battlefield. I thought that was a pretty cool idea. Sad thing is the character is apparently like a hyper, not really super social, getting along with people kind of guy. They apparently won't even let him play quarterback in the annual G.I. Joe football game. But anyway, stamina is very low, as you can see. His jump is a little bit below Duke's, so solid jumping. Very strong punch, so he can take care of enemies in melee very nicely. His weapon is very similar to Duke's. It's a football grenade launcher, which fires the what I call the foot bombs forward and diagonally upward, and it will eventually become a cone of 5. The only difference between his and Duke's, his football grenades are horizontal. Duke's ring lasers are more vertical. So Duke ends up with a slight advantage in terms of how far up he can get. And as far as Gridiron's grenade throwing, he's pretty slow. You would think somebody whose whole gimmick is, I'm a football quarterback, would be able to chuck grenades fairly quickly. But no, he's actually behind Blizzard as far as grenade throwing. And finally, rock and roll. Now, rock and roll, very low stamina. He has the worst stamina of the bunch. So you got to be very careful with him. He's unfortunately very delicate. His jump is 16. Okay. His punch, nothing to write home about. His grenade throwing ability is kind of sad. It's pretty slow. However, rock and roll has the best weapon in the game. At 24, it is the most powerful weapon. Rock and roll kills bosses dead. And when fully powered up, he's the only one who starts out with any kind of spread on his weapon. And when fully powered up, he fires 4 shots above him and 3 shots above him, 3 shots below him, and 2 straight ahead. So he has the biggest screen coverage of everybody. Rock and roll actually can get a lot of enemies that would be out of the range of any of the other Joes. So he's someone I like to take along a lot. Only thing is you have to sometimes use the other Joes to power him up in order to get him to where he needs to be going. Quick personal note, as far as fan favorite Joes, they made some interesting picks here, but what I honestly would have done, I would have replaced Rock and Roll with Roadblock, because they're both heavy machine gunners, and you could have done the exact same thing with Roadblock. Plus, Roadblock is far more iconic. And I would have honestly taken Blizzard and replaced him with Scarlet. You could have either Scarlet or Lady J, one of the two, but that way you have one of the female Joes in there. They're both pretty iconic characters, and you could have very easily given them something along the lines of what Blizzard has. But anyhow, so that's a rundown on the characters. So we are going to go through in this first round with Snake Eyes and Rock and Roll. And we are being dropped off by the Mobile Command Center. That thing is absolutely huge, by the way. That's just the very bottom of it. The thing was a massive, massive ass toy. It was even bigger than the Terror Drome, if I can remember. So what I'm going to do, I don't use Duke all that much, and there's some other Joes I don't use all that much after their respective levels. So I'm going to power them up while I have them here, and just show them off. And I'm using Turbo, but as you can see, you do a different type of punch after your third, and that was stupid. And our first enemy, the Cobra Viper. Just bog standard Viper. Those pace back and forth and shoot at you. And the Manta Rays are... oh, actually, I want to get that guy. In case he dropped something, which he didn't. The Manta Rays actually came with with a Cobra enemy that we'll see in a moment. A little trick you can do with Snake Eyes, by the way, as you can see, he's the only one that can get that. Nope, he isn't. Oh, fuck you. Oh, as a warning, I'm going to put this on the video description, but there's going to be a lot of flashing lights in this game. And I want to kill as many of these as I possibly can, because I can get drops from them. And there's the Hydro Viper. I'll let him do his thing for a second. Yeah, he lands and then fires off a harpoon gun. And that sound means I went up to level 2A. I'll show you what his original gun looked like. So as you can see, 2 rings, 3 rings. And that boar there, the boar came with a Dreadnought character named Naugahyde, but to my knowledge, Naugahyde does not show up in this game. And that is a Cobra Soldier, going way back to the start of the toy line. The way you can tell is because of the V shape of on the back of his uniform there. God damn you, asshole. No, fuck you. I normally don't play this badly, I swear. And the running characters are Televipers. They have the antenna things on their backpack. You fuck. So the bullet icons, the regular ones give you 5 more shots. The flashing ones give you 50, so you absolutely want to get them. And K-Rations will restore your health. The glowing K-Ration restores all of it. And we have our first boss, the Cobra Condor Z25. So this is a 2-stage boss. So, his first stage here is fairly easy. Just take shots at it and jump the missiles. And now the back half of the plane comes at us. Duke fortunately has enough of a jump to get over it and shoot downward as he is. And that's it for the Condor. Whee! Oh, if I didn't mention it, the Manta Ray came with the Hydro Viper figure. So, Joe, you think you were pretty tough. Well, I'm waiting. That is the Range Viper. Range Vipers were not really like a specific named character. They were just another type of Viper, so it's fairly generic for a starter enemy. Or a starter boss, rather. But hey, why not? I'll just leave this here. And the idea in the fortresses, as you can see, is to go to where the pre-designated check marks are and plant bombs. So you can see the 1/2 down there, which is actually 1 out of 2. This says that we have 2 bombs to plant, and we have so far planted 1 of them. And there is the grenade. Duke's throw is adequate. Now, just for comparison, how nuts is that? Yeah. And I didn't mean to do that. Shit. Okay, well, fortunately we can go around the other way. And the chevron is very important because it will extend your stamina bar. And it lasts all throughout the game, so Duke picked one up in the forest, if I remember correctly, so now he has a, or jungle rather, so now he has a much longer life bar than he did. You can see it does not automatically give you health, but fortunately we have a glowing K-ration up there. Irradiated MREs, just the thing a healthy soldier needs. And I'm fairly close to having Duke completely powered up. Oops, I meant to be on punching, but oh well. And Hydra Viper again. Now it's a harpoon he's firing, but for some reason he fires bullets out of it. I don't know. Now this fake floor. This part here will hurt you, but this is completely fine because it's completely fake. The one downside here is you do have to kneel down a bit in order to clear the rocks so you can actually walk past. But not too difficult, really. And I want to wait for that in case it drops something, which it did, and screw you. And Duke is now at max, which means 5-way shot. One of the things he picked up on the way there, by the way, was a bulletproof vest, which is temporary invincibility. And second check mark. And gonna get a lot of ammo. They usually do this, give you a lot of ammo and a health restore when you're approaching the exit door. And this is Raptor. Now, you do have to be fairly careful when you're dealing with them because, number one, the bird will swoop down at you. Second, he'll do that. You also need to be wary if you're using a character like Rock and Roll that shoots partially downward, because it's very easy to accidentally destroy the rocks yourself. And you're not helping anybody but him when you do that, but Raptor is down. You defeated my forces, but I won't be so easy. Okay, so Duke is maxed out, so now we're going to go ahead and run Rock and Roll through this part, because there are a ton of weapon power-ups, and I'm just going to avoid these pile drivers. And you can see Rock and Roll's initial shot there. It is astonishingly easy, because I usually use Rock and Roll here, to accidentally jump too high into the pile drivers, even though Rock and Roll is the character with the weakest jump. Don't ask me how I manage that. And that is our first look at the Rock Viper. And these guys are a pain in the asses for that exact reason. Now I'm going to do something real quick here. Which is, oh wait, I can't lay down save states because I have them all used, never mind. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to purposefully lose, because I want to show off their victory quotes. But the thing is, Range Viper is not all that difficult to deal with. Actually, let me just double check something. Oh shit, yeah, I got a save I can use for this. Okay, that's good, so I don't have to worry about having to rewind. Range Viper, as you can see, doesn't do a whole shitload of damage. And Duke is down. If you lose a Joe, by the way, they're gone for the whole mission. There you go. Just let you know I'm still in it. Don't kill me, cause I want you to say your stuff. Some of the bosses are going to get a lot more difficult than the Range Viper, for sure. Okay, Rock. Now, Rock and Roll doesn't have a lot of stamina, so this shouldn't go long. This is one of those cases of me wanting to show everything as usual, including the defeat lines. Tactics failure, mission incomplete. I told you I was not easy. Ha ha ha. Yeah, there's a lot of personality in these guys, so I definitely wanted to show it off. Okay, so we're going to reload State 9, and we're going to let Rock and Roll have some fun here. As you can see, this is all Range Viper does. Tries to run into you and does those lobbing shots. And he will stay after you. He's not exactly a pushover, but not exactly difficult either. And flashing lights as we get back in the mobile command center and rumble the whole thing out of the jungle. Oh no, Mr. Bezos, I'm so sorry. Great job, men. The Amazon base is gone and we are on the move. This mission will be an attack on the missile base in Antarctica. Okay, I was a little off. Just, you know, one entire pole. Blizzard, you'll be the leader of this mission. Please select your team. Yo, Joe! Fortunately, you don't actually walk around on skis when you're doing this mission. So Blizzard is going to lead. I am going to have Snake Eyes, because there are a couple of places in here I really need them for. And Rock and Roll. I was checking to make sure I didn't miss anybody. No, I didn't. Nice groovy music here, I like it. Okay, so we start off with a Cobra Soldier on the rocket sled. Now just to show you what happens if you don't... Now you can also shoot him off the... Damn it. You can also shoot him off the rocket sled, and the rocket sled will continue on after you. After which point the soldier will just try to shoot you. And we have some running Televipers here. And of course we have those missiles in the background that are trying to blast the hell out of you. You keep moving, you're not going to get hit by them, and you can also use these shells for cover. And let's see, now this is the twin missile radar, and is being manned by a Toxo Viper. It's the Cobra Hazardous Environment Trooper. If that sounds strange, the reason they're doing that, it's based off of the original toy packaging, or toy advertisement, where the Toxo Viper was what was being shown manning the radar unit. So it actually kind of makes sense. And that annoying thing is a Frag Viper. It is the grenade thrower. And it is a pain in the ass. And that sucked. And the Toxo Viper won't do anything but just run at you when it's done. And this is the Sea Ray, piloted by Sea Slug. Now, the original toy for this was rather amusing. If you look behind the cockpit, the Sea Ray actually separates in two. The front part became a autonomous pod module, and the second half became, I kid you not, a hang glider. Or a powered hang glider, at least. Oh, and just proof of concept, you can slash or punch the things off if you want. Stab, 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 stab. Oops. The range vipers are wimps. Fight my forces and you'll freeze to death. That is Metalhead. Guy who packs missiles and loves to use them. And down here in the headquarters, we get our first Cobra vehicle. Now, there's a very interesting story behind this one. The actual name the toy was released under was the Battlecopter, and there was a Cobra 1 and a G.I. Joe 1. But in the game, this was called the Cobra Interrogator. Oh, by the way, those things that those guys that keep appearing and disappearing are Night Vipers. So they're not actually teleporting or anything like that, they're just concealed. And they have a nasty habit of telefragging you. But anyway, Taxan apparently had access to some of the upcoming G.I. Joe toy line because they featured some characters and vehicles that were part of the 1991 line, and possibly some from the 92 line. I don't remember which. But this got called the Interrogator, even though the actual name was Battlecopter. But the Cobra officer, or Cobra pilot who came with it, was called Interrogator. The Battlecopter was released in 91, and then it was released again in 1992 with a more generic Viper called the Heli Viper. And as you see, they're using the Battlecopters too, but a few shots will get rid of them. I believe those are regular Vipers piloting the copters, but I could be wrong. And I think... okay, yeah, he still has some stamina to go. And they will accelerate when they get on your level. They'll never actually fire. I have no clue why. Gimme! Gimme! Want my food! God damn it! Give me my food! I'm a hungry ninja. Okay, and we got one more here, and this is the annoying one. This is usually where I end up losing the helicopter because, well, I'll be damned, I actually killed the Night Viper first. That's a rarity. So there's actually a couple of differences between the vehicles in terms of their power, and I'll go into them later. For right now, we have the boss, and it is 3 Cobra Buzzbores. Rolling saw blades, essentially. Now, rock and roll takes care of these things pretty quickly, but there's another secret in this room. Yeah, I can pull this trick too. And the Buzzbore doesn't take a whole lot of hits, but it saves me from taking some, and I'm always for that. Especially since it's very unlikely I'm going to get health in this next part. Okay, so my men were not so hot, but I will blow you away, Joe. And again, nice groovy music. Go over this way, get a Buzzbore, and this will be immensely helpful here. Okay, so let's see. I think I can still... yes, I can still boost his stamina up. Rock and roll is now fully powered up. That is awesome. Because I'm going to need it. Metalhead can really wreck your shit if you're not careful. Oh man, all this time I didn't actually do anything for Blizzard. Well, so much for that promise I made. Do not worry, Blizzard will come back later. Blizzard will most definitely come back later. Main trick here is getting a feel for where the battlecopters come in, or interrogators, whatever you want to call them, and just try to get the shots off at them before they draw even with you. And in the off chance they drop something, try to be there to catch it. Like so. Okay, and now we have Metalhead, and I'm going to drop a quick save. And we're going to go ahead and let ourselves get trounced, which is very easy to do against Metalhead. As you can see, Metalhead will shoot missiles into the walls or the ground and produce rocks. He also will try to just jump right into you, and he does a ridiculous amount of contact damage. Metalhead can really wreck your shit if you're not careful. As far as a straight leap over him, Snake Eyes, I think, is the only one capable of it. Oh, if you start having trouble with a boss, by the way, as long as you switch a Joe out before they die, the boss doesn't reset. Come on, just trying to give you your moment in the sun here. Rock and Roll does have a very big advantage over Metalhead, though, because of the widespread at full power. He can get rid of his rocks incredibly easily. And doing a lot of damage to Metalhead doesn't hurt either. Metalhead is one of those guys that's just unsafe at any distance because he will often leap wherever you are, despite your best intentions. You should have worn your long johns. That's a great line. Okay. That's a load state. Oh, by the way, talking about bosses I would have, and characters I would have replaced, I probably would have put the Dreadnoks in the first level. You know, get Zartan in there somewhere. You know, maybe have him come in Thunder Machine. It can be hard to deal with those rocks coming upwards because you never know exactly where they're coming from until they're coming down at you. And then we have this problem. Asshole. Learn the value of personal space, or just, you know, teabag you. Joes weren't against teabagging, were they? Okay, well that is 2 missions down, and we're going to go ahead and put a save state here, and I will call this the first part 1 of the video. So, I will see you in part 2. Always remember to wear your long johns, even in the jungle, until we game again. This episode's Check Marks the Spot was made possible by Mike Panza, Rick in Baltimore, D. Iotti, the post-production work of Matthew Carr Anderson, and all my bombastic lycanthro fans. Thank you very much for your continued support. Until we game again.